GDPR has been around for however long it's been around, right? A decade, if not more, since it was first introduced. I work in a highly regulated industry, so financial services, we have a lot of financial services laws. And I have seen no movement really in the financial services specific laws that are our kind of bread and butter to become congruent with GDPR. So that makes my life very difficult because, you know, as an in-house lawyer, you're not allowed to give an answer of it depends. You're definitely not allowed to give an answer of lex specialis because they're not going to understand what that is. So, you know, a concrete example, the United Kingdom, I think, gets an unfair rap sometimes for, you know, kind of its legislative process and what comes out of the legislative process. But the DPA 2018, as amended, works quite well, I think. So you take Revolut. We're a digital-only bank. We don't have branches. We are never going to have branches. We serve a different customer profile than traditional legacy banks. We are, you know, required to identify and authenticate our customers' identities to comply with various anti-money laundering, know your customer laws. Those laws have not been updated for a while. There's a clear carve-out in the DPA in the UK for leveraging special category data where necessary to prevent or stop crimes happening. For a long time, there hasn't been anything like that in the European Union. So we're kind of have a hand tied behind our back because the GDPR is very clear, it's consent or substantial public interest, and there is no clear substantial public interest in many of the European Union states' laws. I'm delighted to see that the new AML regulation is coming in, not effective until summer of 2027, that will rectify this. But that's what I'm particularly interested in. Like, I'm terrified about all the other acts we've discussed, but what's even more burdensome for the in-house lawyer in a highly regulated industry is that lack of congruence between those laws that you need to know inside out and the GDPR, which is fairly well bedded in. So I suspect we don't have many regulators left in the room because I suspect they're at the other session. But if they are, you know, that's something that I think the UK does relatively well through the DRCF. And I know that when I am sitting in the CNIL lecture earlier, that sounds like something that they're kind of getting their hands around too. That's my request. Hopefully, I used to come to this conference and I used to say, can you stick your hand up if you knew what Revolut was? Thankfully, those days are behind us and now most people do know what Revolut actually is, so it's not so awkward anymore. We have launched a chat assistant and we're very proud of it, right? Back to my point about we don't have a branch, you can't call into branch, you know, our customers expect quite quick responses, sometimes on quite technical issues. So you will note there's a lack of congruence in my job title. On the poster it says I'm head of data protection. On these slides it says I'm head of data protection and artificial intelligence. I am head of artificial intelligence by virtue of the fact that nobody else really wanted to do it. So when we launched Chat Assistant, it kind of fell to me. And on one level, I don't think anyone in this room would necessarily think this, but you could think this is quite a simple thing to launch. It's an uplift of an existing chat assistant that we already had, that pulled information from a relatively static database and kind of matched answers to specific questions based on keyword matching. You would be wrong. It is way more than that. You have the first three principles there. Everyone in this room who is a data protection subject matter expert: transparency, accuracy, data minimization. Not even going to talk about them because you'd be doing them even if it wasn't an AI chatbot, even if it was a human staff chatbot. And then you have all the other layers, and I can't go into the technical lengths that John and Pravita went to, but some of the things that we had to layer on top of that kind of baseline expectation that the business wasn't tremendously receptive to when we were trying to explain it to them is AI Act compliance. Is it high risk? What are you doing then with your documentation? You know, and bear in mind, you know, the AI Act, when we were kind of launching this, wasn't necessarily fully in force, and there was a kind of question mark about when we would have to be in compliance with certain aspects of it. You've already lost the product owner, like, at that stage, because all they hear is not in force. So we're having those conversations pre it being in force and pre maybe the media scrutiny that we had on AI over the last 6 to 8 months. In the United Kingdom, but also across the European Union, we're obliged by financial services regulators to treat our customers fairly. So you look at things like vulnerability, you try to understand that not everything works for every single customer, you try to ensure good outcomes for your customers. So that's another layer on top. Vulnerable customer protection I've talked about. MiFID II, so are we going to be offering financial advice through this AI chat support? We shouldn't be, but what is the line between financial advice and advice on your account? And how do we QA and QC that? How are we ensuring that there's a human in the loop when there needs to be a human in the loop? It has, I think, you can see it there. Apparently, it's had how many compliments? 2.1 million compliments. I don't know how many people have actually asked it, so that could be quite a low number, or 51 million. So there you go. It's quite a successful product, but it has taken a lot of iteration. It has taken a lot of hand-holding, and it has taken a lot of us in the DP and newly minted AI team getting up to speed with the whole panoply of laws that we need to be aware of when we're launching something as public as this.